Welcome back to the Panic Brothers series of character analysis. Today, we're talking about our favorite Link in all of Legend of Zelda, at least my personal favorite, the Hero of Time. Now, Simon is a humongous stan of these games, so I'll let him start us off.
Jose was right when he said this is the best Link of all time because this Link introduced me to the series. I love the Hero of Time, and I feel like he is the most appreciated Link out of all the games in the Zelda series. You see him in Wind Waker. He's mentioned in Twilight Princess. I know Nintendo doesn't want to address that, but it's there. And then there's Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time that hold the character of Hero of Time. Today we want to discuss who is Hero of Time. We want to analyze his character, what he went through, and why he is such a significant link to the entire timeline, or the entire convoluted timeline from Josue's eyes of the Zelda series. Fun fact, before this recording, we were going over the timeline, and Jose was getting pretty mad.
This is a weird timeline. This is a really, really weird timeline.
It makes sense.
But
if you look at it from a Zelda point of view.
I guess so.
Which is a terrible way to justify anything. It's like Kingdom Hearts makes sense if you just think about it in Kingdom Hearts point of view.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's a terrible way to look at things. But let's
anyway.
Yeah, let's look at the humble beginnings of the Hero of Time.
Totally.
Yeah, because he was raised as a Kokiri, but he was kind of bullied. He was bullied growing up by Mito, who is a complete jackass.
I feel like Mito was the only dude bullying him, though. Like, it felt like, okay, if you grew up like Link and you had a pretty decent childhood and there was just one guy who bugged you all the time, I don't think it would really get you that down. Because everyone else was pretty okay with Link. The tree was homies with them. Like, everyone was okay with Link but him. So, like, I don't know. I feel like it was kind of more annoying than being bullied, really.
But Mito was the leader of the Kokiri. It's like, imagine the only person in the world not liking you is the president. Like, what?
But he's kind of like a Trump because he's the president, but like no one really, cares. Like, Saria didn't be like, yeah, because he doesn't like you, I don't like you. It wasn't like that at all. He was just an ass. Like 100%.
I personally think that Mito didn't like Link for the sole reason that Link was homies or had a little thing going on with Saria. And that was the only reason.
He was jealous.
Oh, it's completely
jealous.
That was
100% what it was. But like you said, he had a very humble beginning. And it's kind of insane because most Links typically have a pretty quiet life leading up to, whatever happens in their adventure. But I think this is the first game where you really see a Link that really was just living his own life, and it seemed everything was fine going on around him. Because like Link to the Past starts with the death of an uncle, and there's a thunderstorm going off. Zelda 1 and 2, you're just in it. You just go right into it. Link's Awakening, like, you just woke up from drifting at sea. Like, there's a lot going on immediately, but this is the first game I feel like where you wake up and Link is very much domesticated, and he has a life. Granted, he has a nightmare in the beginning of the game, which shows that something's going on in the background. But it's one of the very earlier games, I'd say, not few, excuse me. One of the earlier games where you really see Link being more chill and having actually like a real set life. And then he has to escape that life. Which brings me to my next point. I feel like this Link has the most dramatic change out of all the other Links. He went through so much. I don't think any other Link can compare to the adventure this Link had. Because you start off with him thinking, I am a Kokiri. I know I look weird and, Milo doesn't think I am, but I am a Kokiri. I think I am one. And as the story progresses, the Deku Tree tells him that he was actually a Hylian, or he is a Hylian, and his mother died with him in her arms in front of him. That's a lot to take in. As soon as the same time as the Deku Tree is dying. That's just wild to me. Your own mentor, the person who took you in, the person who taught you everything you know, dies in front of you and gives you this task to go find this princess and save this kingdom you've never explored before from doom, and also tells you that you had a mother you never met who died with you in her arms. That is so much to take in early. And that's why I feel like he's one of the most disturbed characters who had no other option but to just take that all in and go out to the adventure.
Not to mention that this Link was only 11 years old, which puts
It's
him at
nuts.
least he's 11, right? If I'm not mistaken. He's
Yeah.
11 or
Yeah, he's
10.
11. Uh-huh.
But he's
I think he's
he's
11.
he's the same age as my boy Teen Gohan. So and this is a weird trend with Nintendo that Nintendo just loves to put little boys out on these adventures at the ripe age of pre-adolescence.
Or just way too young, essentially.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're playing as this 11-year-old boy for the first half of the game, really, going through this crazy adventure where he just really doesn't. It's day and night. This one day, he's just sleeping, chilling at his treehouse, and then bam, out of nowhere, he has to go on this adventure where everything around him is shaken up, and now. I mean, I know he doesn't speak in the game, but I can imagine that his thought process is kind of just I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna have to ride with it because I have no other choice because I
Yeah,
can't
literally,
just stay
they tell
home.
him it's his destiny. Like, you can't stay, you have to go. Like, he has no other option but to do it. And it's crazy because I feel like Ocarina of Time was such a limited game. It was the first of the 3D platformers, in Nintendo 64 era. I feel like if it came out more so now, we see a lot more expression from that Link. And we probably see a lot more in his acting of how he felt about it. We couldn't see that, like you said, because he doesn't react. He's just, this 3D figure they had to render. So they had to rely more on the story and the actual text and the quotes that people would tell Link to really drive that emotion. And it works because you look back and you're like, wow, this is a really messed up story. And then you fast forward from this young Link stage to an adult Link stage. And actually, let me go back to the young Link part. Something that a lot of people don't, I think, realize is I'm pretty sure those first 3 dungeons you go to inside Deku Tree, you got Dodongo's Carvin, and then you go to the inside of Jabu Jabu's belly.
Right?
Those first 3, dungeons, I feel like were done in just a day. I feel like the game's story has Young Link doing that just in one go. And that's just a lot to explore and do in just one run. I don't think, he had the privilege of sitting down and saving his game like we did. This dude just went out there and grinded out. And you would think, from my perspective, if I was him, I think the story's over. I got the 3 stones. I'm gonna go back and meet up with Zelda, and we'll stop Ganondorf from getting through the door of time and screwing over the entirety of Hyrule. But then you fast forward, and Link goes to Hyrule Castle. Zelda's escaping. He gets inside the Temple of Time, puts the 3 stones on, and then reaches for the Master Sword, and guess what happens? He is too young to hold it, which puts him stuck inside the Temple of Time for years, giving Ganondorf free access to do as he pleases while Link is sealed. Can you imagine if you went on an adventure and in the middle of the adventure, you just messed up on that scale? Because of you, the main villain got his way, and while you were gone in a coma, he destroyed the entirety of Hyrule. That's just so much to take in.
You can't help but feel like it's all your fault.
100%. You were the one that pulled the sword out. You were the one that slept because your body wasn't ready. You weren't, at the right age. And now, because of you, Hyrule Town, that used to be bustling. You remember how Hyrule Town was in the game, right?
Yeah, it was.
People were cheering, dancing, there was music. And now it's just redeads. Redeads everywhere. Death Mountain has a cloud around it that's like red and just violent looking. Everywhere you go, like the Zora's like domain area is like just dead. There's barely any Zoras in it, and it's frozen over. Everything about Hyrule's nature is just terrible, and it comes back down to you. That's just so much for a hero, especially at that age. Because sure, you can say he grew up in that time that he was in the coma, but mentally, he didn't grow up.
You know what? You know what also really sucks about this Link, about the Hero of Time, is that so we know what happens with him. We know what happens after he defeats Ganon, and that the timeline is split at this point. We have 3 different timelines that are split, and what really sucks about this Link, about the Hero of Time, is that no one will ever appreciate everything he did. They will only
Oh God,
remember.
no.
No, they will only remember only certain parts of what he did. People will, like, for the young Link timeline, for the the when he comes back from time and he returns as Teen Gohan. When he returns as an 11-year-old, people will only remember what he did as a kid following that point. For the adult Link timeline, people will only remember what he did as an adult. And for the fallen hero timeline as well, they'll only remember what he did as an adult. But no one will ever really appreciate that. No one will ever understand what this Link had to go through, and that as a kid he had to do his thing, pull the Master Sword, sleep 7 years, bam, an adult again. He just completely skipped out on being an adolescent. He had to save the universe. Or save Hyrule, not the universe. I don't know about that.
The universe.
But and then go back in time. People will only get a part of that story. And so
yeah, because I think from the perspective of the people of Hyrule, they think he was just a hero that traversed time. Like it wasn't an accident. It wasn't like he wasn't ready. He just traversed time, got the job done, and that was it. No one really thinks about what that means for a kid, or how it was all a mistake and he didn't know he was going to time travel, or the fact that he went back in time, like you said, and lived his life again as a kid. No one ever mentions that part of the story, which is just so sad to think about.
And then let's continue from when he was a kid, when he returns, because his story continues in Majora's Mask,
and it only gets worse.
So much worse. So me and Simon are of the belief of the long-running theory that Link dies in Majora's Mask. You can fight us all you want in the comments. Go ahead. We want to see this discussion happen. But
deep down it's canon.
But pretty much. But Link is straight up dead. And he travels to an alternate, to a parallel universe as his sword of purgatory to save this parallel universe from destruction. And I'm not sure if this is like some kind of like the god of the three gods of Hyrule trying to like put him through this afterlife adventure one last time or something.
Just test him.
God, yeah, but
see, it's crazy because like the theory is so wide that everyone's got their own spin on it too. Because for me, I don't think it's just a parallel universe. I think it's just a giant hallucination. Because it's crazy that in this parallel world, like you said, it's like parallel in the fact that characters in that world are just like characters you met in Hyrule. And I like to believe he just loses his mind in those woods and just kind of creates this world for himself. And I don't know what's scarier. Being trapped in a mind you don't know that is not real, or being stuck in a parallel world that feels so close to home but it's not. And then we haven't even mentioned the fact that a giant moon is coming down onto the town in 3 days. And he has to somehow come up with a plan to stop all of this while fighting off this mask that was used in tribal rituals to kill people. Like, that's way too much to take in after retiring.
Okay. That's just too much. I'm imagining myself as an 11-year-old. I can't do that. I can't do this. And I mean, even then, even when he's an adult, even when he's 18 years old, mentally he's still 11 years old. So he went through this entire adventure when I was first learning, I don't know, advanced multiplication or something. Like,
I was still doing long multiplication on paper.
Dude, yeah, and I had a crush on my teacher. And like, and meanwhile, this guy is here literally saving princesses and then like going through like the afterlife. He's only lived for 11 years and he's done so much compared to the other Links. Remember that. Only 11 years he's done more than every other Link, and he's remembered more than every other Link in just 11 years.
100%. And like, if there are any other Links, which they are in the timeline that have more than one game, they're usually back to back and they're just simple adventures where the thing get done. This is him going to the afterlife, you said, time traveling, doing things that no one else in the timeline really did. Which is why I feel like he's the most experienced, which is why he's so great to be a tutor and then Twilight Princess. Oof. Him being Hero Shade was everything. That was everything, dog. I love that so much to this day. I didn't obviously pick up on it when I was a kid. I don't know if you did either.
No, not at all.
Oh yeah, right. That just went right
Yeah,
past
not
my
at all.
head. And then a couple years ago, when people were talking about it, and I was reflecting on the game, I'm like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense. You would think the guy who went through all this would be the perfect tutor for this. It fits the timeline. And in Zelda lore, they say if you go into the woods without a fairy like Navi, you become a Stalfos. And, Hero Shade himself is a Stalfos. It all makes sense. And it's kind of, in my opinion, the perfect way to close out his story. Because it's like he passes on his knowledge and experience to the next hero, the hero of Twilight. It's a phenomenal way to end it.
Also, just really sad at the same time, though,
Oh yeah,
because the ancient
yeah.
hero, the hero of Shade, hero of Shade, sorry, the
You're
hero of
good.
Shade just makes him sound like some kind of ratchet person who just all he does is just
He's like a dude that just talks smack about Hyrule.
well, that's the hero of Shade, right?
I mean, I could save y'all, but
Zelda could have done something.
those are fake Balenciagas.
Zelda has powers. I don't know why y'all roasting me so much. But so the ancient hero is literally filled with regrets because he wasn't able to pass on the lessons of his 11 years of life, which was, I mean, he was able to learn so much in just those 11 years, but he was never able to pass it on to anyone who came after him. After he was sent back in time to his childhood, which is really sad because that literally means that in the amount of time between Ocarina of Time, really between Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, he's just been filled with the regrets. He just
100%. It's like what you said. It's like if I don't pass on these lessons, it feels like no one's ever gonna know what I really got done. No one's ever gonna acknowledge what I've done. I can't pass on everything I learned. If I can't pass on, then the memory of me and what I've done is going to die.
Yeah.
That's just simply fact.
Dude, imagine just thinking that as an 11-year-old. He was never able to actually live a full life. He was never able to actually grow up, to have a wife, to have kids, to do anything. He died at 11 years old.
And all just for a purpose that he did not choose, something that he did not really necessarily want to do. It was something that was just destined onto him. That's just too much to take.
For a fact that all he really wanted to do was just continue living as a Kokiri, and get married to Saria. Like that was his girl. Like that's what he wanted.
Oh no, yeah.
I mean, it would have been.
Isn't it so sad too? Like that in the game Ocarina of Time, that Saria becomes a sage in the future. That was always sad to me because Link was like, "Damn, I really can never marry this woman."
Yeah, not just that, but it would have been really weird if, let's say, she never became. Let's just say the events of Ocarina of Time never happened, right? And Link, just stays with the Kokiri, and he just keeps on getting older and older, and everybody else is like, "All right, you're definitely not one of us."
Oh yeah, and he's like trying to hook up with this young little.
But no, not only that, but he would have had to get kicked out. So imagine that too.
Oh no, 100%. They're like, you can't stay here.
Even if the events of Ocarina of Time never happened, imagine Ganondorf just never existed or never happened, whatever. Link would have had to get kicked out regardless. Link was going to have to. Link was pretty much destined to live
life as a Hyrulean.
He was destined to live terribly, regardless of what happened to him.
Yep, that's honestly. So when you think about it, maybe in the long run, this might have been the better path. It hurts a lot more, but maybe it was all better that he did this instead of going out, getting casted out, and dying
from
somewhere.
Depression or something. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, but that's why he's literally one of the saddest Links. God, I really want Nintendo to make more of these. I want Nintendo to make more connected Zelda games for one character that really tells a story like this one.
Because I don't think any other Zelda character, we don't see any other Zelda character's journey like this one from beginning to literal end.
And don't you look at me and be like, "Oh, but Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, that was a terrible sequel." Don't even at me with that. That game should not have been connected to Wind Waker at all.
Whoa, we now know what Simon's least favorite game in the series is.
No. To be honest, if I really had to keep it funky, the worst game to this day was definitely Adventure of Link. You can't defend that game. It tried to be something. It really was destined not to be. But that's story for another episode. I would gladly sit down and tell you what my power rankings for Zelda games are.
Oh God.
But
Oh God.
I'm impressed with myself for keeping this under 30 minutes. To be quite honest, I can go on for hours talking about this Link.
No. How about we don't do that? How about we don't? Otherwise, it's not fair. We'd have to redo all the Kingdom Hearts episodes. So
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for listening on our thoughts of this Link, of the Hero of Time, and we look forward for you guys to catch in later on with our other character analysis videos and episodes, which you will have to stick around to find out who we will discuss next. So for now, see you.
Peace, guys.